We're in the redesigned 2025 Subaru Forester. This is one of Subaru's best-selling vehicles. This is in the limited trim, coming in at almost $39,000. Today I'm going to tell you if it's worth that chunk of change. Let's start under the hood. As of now, there are no updates for 2025 with this Boxer setup. Yes, Subaru uses opposing engines still, a 4-cylinder, 2.5 liters, 180 horsepower, and 170 pound-feet of torque. I love how low this engine sits in here. That is a Subaru characteristic, unless you're talking about the Solterra, which is fully EV. Watch my Solterra video, but this is made it to a CVT. Now, Subaru will have a hybrid system that will be co-developed with Toyota, from my understanding, in the next year or so. And that will address maybe some of the shortcomings of this powertrain as we drive it today. But this hood is very light. It's made out of aluminum. Even though it is quite large, it is still quite light. So we're going to close down the hood here, and let's talk about the exterior styling. A lot of people say the new front end looks like a Ford Explorer or something like that. You know, when I first saw it, I thought it looked like an old Ford Edge. But, you know, Subaru gives you different grille designs based off of the trim levels. In this limited trim, we have this sparkly gray, and I love the Subaru badge here. I think it looks really premium. The daytime running lights are very minimal. They're super small. It's almost like the grille continues into the daytime running light right here, nighttime light, fog lights down here. More accents at the bottom, and you see this kind of honeycomb pattern. We'll see that on the inside as well, but more of that gray paint that matches the paint here. And that gray paint is also found here on the mirror, the side mirror on this limited trim. Of course, we got the beautiful roof racks. And like the WRX, check this out. We got some slots here. And I want to say the new Impreza has that too when I reviewed that. Maybe even, heck, maybe even the new Crosstrek might have it as well. Honeycomb design, again, right there on the bottom of the vehicle. I like it. It gives it a nice touch. It breaks up what otherwise would be just a bunch of matte black plastic. Now, these wheels are exclusive to the limited grade. These are 18-inch wheels. The base 2 grades will have 17-inch wheels, which in theory could give you a little bit better ride quality. But one of the most impressive things that Subaru has kept here, and I'll talk about it when I drive, is look how big the windows are. The Forester's always had big windows, and yes, the Forester is bigger than ever. It is a large looking vehicle standing outside of it, but at least they kept that identity of kind of like this upright, boxy wagon that has tons and tons of window visibility and lots of light that comes into the cabin. Forester typed out into the lift gate here, kind of like that silver again on the Subaru badge that we saw in the front. Let's go and lift this up. Oh, and before we talk about cargo, which there's plenty of, we do have parking sensors on the back. What is going on? We just have a single tip exhaust and then a cutout here. So maybe for the hybrids, we'll have dual exhaust. It's kind of hard to say, but it looks like it's set up for a potential dual exhaust. I love this Forester mat back here. Also, for this limited trim, we have these ejectable seats. Now, I'm not going to do this one because I have a child seat back there, but nice retractable tonneau cover. This has the optional Harman Kardon sound system that comes bundled with automatic rear braking, as well as navigation in that GPS 11-inch screen. So very, very impressed with the cargo capacity in here, with just how boxy this vehicle is. And look, I have some nice lights all the way back here to illuminate the cargo at night. You're also gonna have this 12 volt here, 120 watts of additional accessory power. And of course we have an automatic, another tail light here, a liftgate light, and another, for the first time as well, a little compass, a little Easter egg for Subaru. Love that attention to detail. Was not expecting that. Subarus are known for their practicality and their symmetrical all-wheel drive. I didn't mention that already. That of course comes standard. Subaru and all-wheel drive are peanut butter and jelly. So let's go ahead and talk about these leather seats. I love this gray, light gray and dark gray contrast. They're very, very nice. The limited and the touring trims have leather seats, and I like how they're perforated so you're not sticking to them in this hot Florida sun. It's probably about 85 degrees. It's about 7:55 right now. Okay, so this limited has this nice suede with stitching on it. Very, very premium-ish back door. Now, you do have hard touch at the top, but I do like this soft accent back here. Now this seat is set up for me at 6'1", and look at the amount of leg space I have. It is monstrous. Not only do we have mat pockets on each side, but we have several mat pockets. 1, two, and then there's a little stitching here to partition this one. Closing the door, you can get optional heated rear seats. USB-C, USB-A, love the rear vents back here. And check this out, this panel roof is fantastic. Absolutely impressive. It doesn't go all the way back, but I like how it's so far forward that the front passengers can really enjoy this massive square. And I just noticed another Easter egg. You can't really notice it from the driver's seat, but you got a cute hummingbird right there. Love it, Subaru. Folding this down, we have some cup holders. Now, these seats I believe are supposed to be reclining. The problem is, I think they only have one station here. If I try to push it back, it doesn't do anything. And so these are actually reclined a little bit too much for my children. Standard. I wish that you could set them up a little bit more vertical, but they really lean back and I can't find a way to adjust them. So maybe the touring model has some adjustability with these rear seats. I just wish it was much more upright. I don't know if it's showing on the camera, but these seats are reclined quite a bit. For adults, they probably don't mind it, but for the kids, I'd like it to be a little bit more upright. I want to talk about the build quality in this vehicle. Made in Japan, and how the doors slam and how the door handles feel and the fitment of everything is impeccable. This is luxury quality, build quality, maybe even better than a lot of the luxury automakers out here. So just really impressed with the solidity of this vehicle and how everything fits together so perfectly. Well done, Subaru. We do not have auto folding mirrors here, but we do have auto down and up top windows. And a little glossy black here. Wish this was not glossy black. I think that's one of the few instances of glossy black here on this car. We do have soft touch here, unlike the top of the back door. Blue stitching on the seats, these leather seats. They are not ventilated in this limited trim. They are heated only. And I do have a heated steering wheel. It's heated steering wheel buttons right here. And the heated seat buttons are built into the screen. We'll talk about the screen here in a little bit. This has the newest EyeSight technology, safety technology from Subaru. Baseball stitching on here is impeccable. No surprise, oftentimes they are wizards or elves with their stitching over in Japan. This is a little bit too old school for me. I feel like when you're paying this much for a higher trim Subaru, you should have a little bit nicer screen than this little 4-inch tiny screen behind or in between these analog gauges. Now, personally, I love analog gauges and it doesn't bother me because I can just look at my MPGs. That's really all I care about. I also have a digital speedometer here right in the middle. So for me, it doesn't bother me, but the competition is leaving it behind with much larger digital screens. That's going to be up to the buyer to determine if that is a ding or not. Hard touch on the dash. Wish it was a little bit softer. Actually, this piece is soft. So this piece that goes around the back is soft. Hard here, hard here, hard here. Middle screen, 11-inch screen. Now there is a base screen on the base model. Then you upgrade on the next model. I think that's called the premium model. That gives you an 11-inch screen that looks just like this, but it doesn't have navigation built in. This one has the optional navigation built in, but I'm just using my Android Auto wirelessly here. And I like how it takes up a large vertical portion of the screen instead of just locking me into kind of like a 16:9 aspect ratio. Love the volume knob, love the tuning knob. I wish the climate control knobs, or I wish we had climate control knobs. And you can see just how reflective this area is on the touchscreen. And it does collect a lot of reflections in the sunny weather that we have here all the time. So touchscreen is responsive for the most part. I got in here when the car was sitting in the sun all day and it was not enjoying my fingers touching it. It was a very laggy, but that's extreme cases when the car is probably about 120 degrees on the inside. Here's that honeycomb pattern that I mentioned when we started with the exterior walk around. You have different exterior bits that have this same honeycomb pattern. I really like it. It looks very premium. It feels premium as well. It is technically hard touch, I would say, but it doesn't feel like a cheap plastic like this up here. This feels like a higher quality plastic, and we have some faux wood below it. I like that. Armrest feels very, very quality. Feels like it's going to be durable as well over years of use. And on the inside, we have like a felt to deaden any noises. We have a topography map, little rubber insert there for some additional belongings, maybe like keys or a stick of gum. And these cup holders are rubber padded at the bottom, but the drinks kind of just flop around in here, even though you have this little piece. So I wish they were a little bit tighter. 120 watts again up front, just like we had in the cargo area. Now, this does have auto brake hold, but it's not a button out in the car, or auto vehicle hold is what Subaru calls it. And so it pops up right there. It applies the brakes every time you come to a stop. Back to the screen here, you can have some metrics up here. I like how outer temp and time is always there. And yeah, you can have your radio stations up here on top of your Android Auto. To finish up, we have a nice shifter here, traditional shifter, and a wireless charger and an aux port. Long live the aux port. And you also have a USB-C and a USB-A there. Now this fancy limited model has auto windshield wipers, and we also have the fog light control over here. But that's enough of me talking about the inside. Let's go ahead and start driving. Putting it into drive, auto brake hold is currently holding me in place. So you just press the gas pedal and it starts going. Maneuverability here. Now I don't have like a 360 camera, but parking this thing, the turning radius is super tight. What does that backup camera look like? Pretty good. And it does have bicyclist detection, because when I was backing up over there to start this video, a bicyclist was riding behind me and it detected that and it gave me a little warning. So it's nice safety features right there built in. And gosh, I'm just so happy that we have a traditional shifter here because it sits perfectly. So arm on the armrest, and then your hand just rests perfectly on the shifter. And this vehicle is super comfortable. These seats are great. These leather seats, they better be comfortable, right? Because you're paying extra for them in this limited trim. They also come on the touring trim. But yeah, it's super wide in here, super tall. If you don't get the pano roof, which I believe is standard actually on the second trim level, the premium, if you don't get the pano roof, you actually get a little bit more headroom. But unless you're an NBA player, I don't see why you would need to have additional headroom in here. It's just so much. Now, the handling on here is super quick. Or should I say the steering on here is super quick. Every little input, it just wants to go right into it. The last vehicles I felt like that were that eager to dive in were actually some Alfa Romeos. So Subaru has some turn-happy steering here. Now, it doesn't handle like an Alfa Romeo, but for an SUV, it's actually pretty fun to drive. The brakes in here, it's not the initial bite that I'm looking for, but they are very progressive, very progressive. That's what you want to see. And I've never had any feelings that the brakes are not safe in here. So I'm going to torque brake. We'll do a little 0 to 60 with 180 horsepower. We'll get there. Okay, we made it. We made it. So 0 to 60 in 9 1/4, and 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 9.8 seconds. So about and now slightly uphill, 0.2% grade. It's slow. However, when you're at a stoplight and at low speeds, it's really perky and happy to take off. So it's geared really well with the CVT at low speeds. If I need power, I'm going about 45 right now, pedal down. It's pretty responsive, but nothing happens. So the engine, boom, picks the like max RPM, the CVT acts fast, but there's just no top end to this powertrain at all. And that's, to me, the only thing that kind of throws me off with about this Subaru Forester. The ride quality is unbelievable. It's luxury quality. The handling's really fun. They've made it super quiet. I love the visibility in here. There's nothing that really annoys me with this setup except for the lack of top-end power. Now, Subaru in the past has put turbochargers in the Foresters, but if you want better top-end power, better response overall, and just a better experience, you're going to have to wait for the hybrid that will not only give you more power, but will give you better fuel economy as well, and even a quieter and smoother experience. Now, despite this not having acoustic glass on the windows, it doesn't seem to bother that much. Now, I do hear cars go by, But in terms of annoying wind buffeting or an air leakage going on, I don't have any of that. I don't have any of that going on. So it just seems like it's super well built. It feels very isolated. I'm getting luxury levels, like I said, of ride quality, noise suppression. I just wish I had semi-luxury levels of power here. Now, yes, it doesn't have a lot of power, but what kind of fuel economy am I seeing? Well, I'm only seeing about 20 miles per gallon in town, but I have been idling this a lot. Most people should be seeing at least 25 miles per gallon in town. You should be getting over 30 miles per gallon on the highway. This patch of road we're about ready to get onto is very rough, and it can really show some of the downfalls of certain cars if they're not sealed well. It just glides over this rough road like it's butter. So yeah, nothing but great things to say about the ride quality here on the new Subaru Forester. What about the Harman Kardon sound system? It's pretty good. I had to turn down the treble. That's pretty rare, but yeah, it was just over trebled from the factory. The bass is a little lacking, but overall the volume, I haven't maxed out the volume because it does get super loud, but I'd probably say it's worth it, and it comes bundled, like I said, with pedestrian braking, emergency braking setup here. Which trim level of this Subaru Forester should you be getting? Well, you don't have a lot of choices right now because there are hardly any of the 2025s on the market. I honestly would be okay getting cloth seats. I like the big screen here, and I like the panel roof, or the oversized roof, whatever you want to call it. It's huge. I think I'd be able to get that all in the premium model. And so I think the premium model for the low 30s, around 33 to 34, I remember when I built it, that's the way to go. And that even has a leather wrapped steering wheel. The base model does not, and that's really important for me. So yeah, go ahead and get the premium model if you can find one. This limited model is very, very nice, but I feel like you're getting 99% of that in a model that costs $4,000 less in the premium. So let me know what trim level you think is the best buy. Also, there's the Wilderness, and I drove the Wilderness Forester on the last generation, and I thought it was an amazing vehicle. The ride quality was probably even better in that than it is here. But that builder is not online for the Wilderness Forester at this point in time. So I don't even know if they're actually shipping those to dealers quite yet. Yeah, this Forester provides such a great value within the Subaru lineup. It has so much space. It feels big, so I don't see the reason why you would need the Outback unless you really want that turbocharged 2.4 liter turbocharged setup. I just don't see the reason for that unless you really want that power. If you're in high altitude situations, yeah, I could see you absolutely really going for the Outback because it has forced induction and it's going to have a lot better power in the mountains and things like that. Especially if you're gearing this thing up, you want to have all the power that you need to get up the mountains. This being anemic at sea level, I can't imagine what it would feel like with elevation. But if you're not climbing mountains, I don't see why you would need to get the Outback over the Forester. And with how this is priced, yes, it is a little bit more than the Crosstrek, but you get so much of a bigger vehicle with more space. And I understand not everyone wants a honking vehicle. They would like to have something smaller in the Crosstrek. Here, I'm not as disappointed that this just has so little power and so little shove because it is just an everyday car. And I think it does have enough power for most people for every day. There's a little fly in here, and I did not get that fly out. He's gonna be bugging me now. But I gotta wrap it up. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more Subaru updates. Cannot wait to test out the new Subaru Forester Hybrid when it becomes available. Catch you guys in the next one. Have a great day.